So my name is Eduardo Esquivel Gonzalez, and I'm part of the Community Engagement Center here at the University of New Mexico, where we host a variety of programs, including the Public Allies program. So Public Allies is a 10-month fellowship program where we pair up a participant with a local nonprofit, where they get to serve at that local nonprofit, build capacity for them, but also earn a stipend as well as an educational award that they can use for their schooling. They're also eligible to receive other AmeriCorps benefits, such as access to health insurance and other supports. And then we provide a weekly training, professional development, sort of a curriculum that they do in part with the service at their organization. So this is a great opportunity for people that have just graduated or are getting ready to graduate or want to enter the field of nonprofit work. There's a high percentage, I think over 70% of our participants end up getting a job at the organizations that they serve at. Yeah, so I'm connected here to CEC because when I was a student here at the university, I went through the Service Corps program, which is very similar to Public Allies. Participating in that program, when I first did it, it was connected to what I was studying. So I was studying biochemistry. They were able to connect me to do science at an elementary school. So I did that. But later through that journey, I got introduced to the world of community organizing and community-based work. And so because I was pivoting my career away from what I studied, which was in science, to this world of nonprofits and community work, they connected me to an organization where I ended up getting a job at and stayed at for 10 years before coming back now to UNM. And so for me, I've been able to see this program as a student, a participant, as a partner organization because I worked for a nonprofit that continued to host Public Allies and Service Corps members. And then now I get to bring all of that experience as CEC staff. So for Public Allies, once folks apply, we interview them to get to know more about them, their interests, and what drives them. And then we take a look at all of the partner organizations that we have. And we have what are called no obligation meetings, where that student or participant gets to meet with a variety of organizations. They get to see if they like each other, there'd be good fits. And then eventually we reach a match. And so that participant gets matched with that organization and they serve their 10-month term with them. And so, we have folks that come in and they already know they want to do food justice. So we bring up all our food justice organizations and they meet each other and then they get paired up. And so that's what folks can expect through the process. It may not match up right away. Sometimes they meet with 3, 4, maybe more organizations until we find the right fit. Because it all depends on the person and what the organization is looking for, but also the interests of the individual. So the great thing about this program is that it's very flexible. So the organizations know to adapt to student schedules. So sometimes folks are still taking classes or they have something else going on in their lives where their schedule can be pretty flexible. So it also depends on the partner organization. So when I was placed at a school with APS, it was like the APS school day. Or even shorter within that. When I was placed later on at a local clinic, Simply Salud, it was, like medical assistant work that was for a 5-hour shift. Or later on when I was at the New Mexico Dream Team, it was giving training. So it really depends on the organization, how much time you have as a student or, a participant, and finding that balance. As long as you're able to meet the total number of hours in the 10-month program time. Absolutely. I think there's all kinds of levels of support when you participate in Public Allies. There is us as CEC staff that provide the mentorship and weekly training. Every Friday we get together and we do that training. And then there's the cohort itself. So this year we have 28 allies that all are on different areas, but they get to see each other weekly on Fridays and build that camaraderie and mutual support. And then there are the site supervisors. So the people at the actual organization that supervise the allies, they also have, mentorship and support on that level. And so at least 3 levels of support at the peer level, at the us here at CEC, and then at their organization. And yeah, we've had participants that end up meeting their future partners. Like we have like so many stories of people that meet each other in public allies and then they end up getting married, or they end up with really good friends at partner organizations, and so they have programs that they partner up later when they work there. So a lot of lifelong connections. And for me, like I was a participant, and then I came back to be staff here. Yeah, it fully informed. So my participation in this program helped fully inform how I saw community here in New Mexico. It was a big pivot in how I saw my career moving forward, where I thought I was going to be either in a lab or as a doctor. That stopped feeling good, and meeting this organization, I learned about community organizing and getting involved in community and making positive change. And so then that's pretty much what I've dedicated my life to since being involved here at CEC and with the partner organizations. I was able to understand institutional, structural, systemic issues, and understanding how to make change at those levels. And so that's what I hope to continue to support other young people on through being here at the Community Engagement Center. It really helped me expand beyond the STEM education that I was personally going through to get more of that humanities understanding. A lot of times STEM students get really isolated into just that technical, that real focused part of your learning, and I was missing out on like the social and cultural, and even I was feeling distance from my own culture. And so through the Community Engagement Center and the programs that we have here, I was able to reconnect, with my own culture, whether that was, spending time in the South Valley and connecting with, Mexican American culture that I was isolated from. It allowed me to not only do that, but also have like interracial, cross-racial learning. So learning from indigenous communities or from the Black community here in Albuquerque, the Asian community here in Albuquerque. It allowed me to expand my understanding and learning in all those areas that I wasn't necessarily getting through my more rigid STEM-focused degree that I was getting. I think when I was a student here going through the program, I was pretty reserved and shy and didn't, want to talk to too many people. A little bit of self-isolation. But meeting the folks here at CEC, everyone was super friendly and nice and encouraged me to be a bit more social, to talk with folks, and I think developed me into now me considering myself a community organizer, being able to start conversations and build long-lasting relationships. I think is what was really impactful in my life that CEC was able to provide. I think maybe, I don't know. I can't tell you what was the most difficult or challenging or hardest part of it, but I think there was a challenge at every level that allowed me to grow as a person. Like I was saying, whether it was like on the intellectual, like the curriculum that we were learning, that was, some good growth, or the social aspect was some good growth. Learning about nonprofits and how that functions was really good growth. It was challenging, but it wasn't hard in the like, oh, I don't want to do this. It was like, oh, I'm really seeing myself grow. And it really felt holistic. Like all aspects of myself felt like an area of growth through participating in the program. I think the way I was learning about leadership prior to being involved in this program was very hierarchical or traditional to what we see in this country as a mainstream sort of dictatorial leadership, like the big boss is the one who directs everything. And through this program, I was introduced and learned about more community based, traditional, even things that are rooted in indigenous practices and ways of being, which is very important to me and very significant. Being here in New Mexico, we're very lucky to have a very vibrant and present indigenous history and current day existence that I think a lot of other states don't have. So learning about those types of leadership, community based leadership, non hierarchical, more participatory or democratic forms of leadership, and then what we call transformative leadership development is what CEC focuses on. So it's like, how do you become a leader that can help transform society to the world we want to live in? And so that was very big learning that I had here. Yeah, I think from things as simple as like meeting facilitation, like you're putting a group of people together, whether it's like you're doing a group project for school and you need to be able to make an agenda, get through the agenda, figure out what the next steps are, all the way to, managing a program, managing partnerships and relationships, how to have beneficial partnerships. Those skills have definitely carried out throughout my career. Absolutely. If not available, at least harder to reach. Like I mentioned earlier, I ended up getting a permanent job where I was at for 10 years. Um, and I don't think I would have been able to be connected to that organization in the way that I was if it wasn't for this program. Um, and a lot of public allies and CEC alumni are now leading their own organizations. We have people that have left this program and started brand new organizations that exist to this day and that are now current partners where we're bringing more allies to be serving there. So yeah, it definitely helps to have at the very least that 10-month chunk of time that you work directly with that organization. It's a lot more beneficial than having nothing. It's really hard to get into the nonprofit world if you don't have prior relationships and connections. And so that's a lot of what we focus on, developing those connections and those relationships. So even if the public ally doesn't get a job with the organization they were paired with, now they know all of these other organizations that exist, the kind of work that they do, and sometimes they end up getting connected to another partner organization, and getting jobs in that way. So the direct experience that you can put on your resume is huge, but what we think is even more important is the relationships and connections that we're able to make through the 10-month program. I think this is something that as CEC we're always trying to improve, because things, even if we think we get to the level where it's good, everything gets more expensive like every day. So I think we recognize that it could always be better, but the kind of support that we provide is sometimes intangible. Like, the stipends are not where ideally we would want them to, but the connections that we're able to establish later on can translate to a good permanent job. And when you balance the stipend with the benefits and with the educational award, that feels a lot better, because folks need to help paying for school, which we can do that, and that's separate from the stipend that they get. So it's like, oh, you get this $7,000 scholarship, you don't have to use any of the stipend for your education. You can use that for your living expenses. And then it also helps to have the other benefits, like access to health insurance, and we help all of our allies apply for other forms of assistance like SNAP or other things that are available. So altogether, I think it's a beneficial package, especially for folks that are in transition periods of their life, where they are working towards a permanent job or working towards figuring out their career path. I think it's adequate for that. Yeah, the educational stipend is a great help, especially for a variety of situations. Sometimes, the allies use it for their own schooling, and that's great. But also, if they have children, they're able to pass that award to their kids. So if they have somebody that's coming up in their college journey, they're able to support that, support them through that stipend. So yeah, there's a lot of ways that can be very helpful for them directly or for their children if they happen to have children. Yeah, we have both a full-time program and a part-time program, and the part-time program is a lot better for folks that need another job or are still in school, and they can't do the full-time 40 hours. So that allows more flexibility if they need to have that second job, or if they need to, or they have other responsibilities. So I think having that flexibility of those two programs helps a lot in that area. But I think, as I said earlier, things are always changing in terms of costs. So that's an area we're always trying to see how we can better and get our participants more money. So we give as much as we can now, and we're always trying to get more. I would say my advice would be to talk to more people, get to know more about what's existing at the university. If somebody hadn't showed me the Community Engagement Center and the programs that exist here, I would have never known. And that's kind of why we're grateful for this interview, so we can get more exposure and more people can know about what the Community Engagement Center does and how we can connect people to that. Because a lot of people are aware of all of these social issues we're facing right now. I mean, right now is a crazy time in terms of politics, and a lot of people want to give back. A lot of people want to contribute, and they don't know how. And so my advice would be talk to people and see what they're doing for their careers and their what fellowships exist. Maybe it's something that even us here at CEC don't know about. So making connections, talking to people, getting out of your comfort zone is probably the best advice I could give anybody going through college or any point in their life. I think human beings are social creatures, and we've been kind of pushed away and convinced to be a lot more individualistic than we should be, and that's been harmful. And I think so being more community based, having stronger, healthier relationships is the best advice I could give. I would say transformative. So transforming my leadership, transforming the way I see the world, transforming how I see my contributions to the world. A lot of times we can feel powerless and isolated, and so Public Allies and the Community Engagement Center is a perfect remedy to those things.
People.
That here at CC and Public Allies, we like to have fun, and we talk about a lot of serious, heavy things, like our oppressions and all of these big systemic issues, but we also believe greatly in joy and in sharing, whether that's like music or food, and being, because that's really what makes community move forward. So we're not always all serious and intense. We're also joyful in how we do this work.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Those are all the questions that I had for you today.